Plato was a classical Greek philosopher born in Athens, who, along with his teacher Socrates and his student Aristotle, established the intellectual foundations of Western culture. He is best known for his written dialogues and for founding the Academy, an institution often described as the first university in the Western world. His work moved philosophy beyond oral tradition into written theoretical inquiry, covering ethics, politics, metaphysics, and epistemology. Born around 427 BCE, Plato came from a wealthy and politically active aristocratic family. He grew up during the Peloponnesian War, a conflict that ended in the defeat of Athens by Sparta and a period of political instability. The most significant event of his youth was the trial and execution of his mentor, Socrates, by the Athenian democracy in 399 BCE. This event deeply disillusioned Plato regarding the effectiveness of democratic rule and the judgment of the masses, shaping his lifelong focus on justice and the role of wisdom in leadership. Plato's philosophical contributions survive primarily in the form of dialogues, which are dramatic conversations featuring Socrates questioning various citizens to expose contradictions in their thinking. Through these texts, Plato introduced the theory of forms. He argued that the physical world is merely a flawed, changing reflection of a higher, unchanging reality, consisting of perfect abstract ideas, or forms. For Plato, true knowledge could only be gained by understanding these forms, rather than relying on sensory perception. To illustrate this distinction between appearance and reality, Plato presented the allegory of the cave. He described prisoners chained inside a cave, facing a blank wall. These prisoners see only shadows cast by objects behind them, and believe these shadows are the only reality. The philosopher is likened to a prisoner who escapes the cave, discovers the true world illuminated by the sun, and returns to free the others, even though they may not believe him. This metaphor describes the difficult journey from ignorance to enlightenment. His most famous political work, The Republic, applies these metaphysical ideas to governance. In this text, Plato constructs a vision of an ideal society governed not by the majority, but by reason. He proposed that states should be ruled by philosopher kings, a select class of individuals who have grasped the forms and possess true knowledge of justice. This ideal city was structured into three rigid classes: producers, auxiliaries for defense, and guardians for rule. He believed that justice occurred when each class performed its own function without interfering with the others. While his intellect is revered, Plato's political theories have faced significant criticism. Modern scholars and philosophers, such as Karl Popper, have viewed the ideal state depicted in the Republic as a prototype for totalitarianism. Plato advocated for strict censorship, state-controlled reproduction, and the dissolution of the traditional private family among the ruling class. Critics argue that his resistance to social change and his distrust of democracy prioritized the state over individual liberty. Plato died in Athens around 347 BCE, but his school, the Academy, survived for centuries as a center of learning. His influence on philosophy, theology, and political science remains immense, having shaped Christian theology and secular thought alike. The 20th century philosopher Alfred North Whitehead famously characterized the European philosophical tradition as a series of footnotes to Plato. His inquiries into the nature of justice, reality, and the good life continue to serve as a starting point for philosophical debate.